Hi, I'm Charlie for All Outdoors Guide, and today we are here to talk about food, specifically Mountain House freeze-dried meals. Now, these guys are sort of a love them or hate them kind of a thing. Different people have different philosophies about the way that they like to eat while they're out on the trail. But I wanted to try out a few different types of these Mountain House meals and see how they turned out. So the first thing that you need to know about these, or that you'll find out if you're shopping for these, is that there are two different pretty common sizes. There's the regular pouch, which will look like this or like this. And then there's what they call the Pro Pack, which I don't have one. Those are just vacuum sealed versions of the same thing. They tend to be a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter weight. They, because they're vacuum sealed, they work better at high altitude. So if you're taking them up a really high mountain, you may want to go for those. That said, I ate these at about 10,000 feet on Mount Rainier, and there was no issues with the bag blowing up or anything like that. So, but really high altitude, you may want to go for the Pro Pack. The other thing to talk about when you're talking about these is why bring them at all? Why would you want a freeze-dried meal? There's a couple reasons. One is the convenience factor of not having to bother with cleanup of any kind. You don't have any pots or pans, because the way that these work is you take the top off, you pour boiling water in, you reseal them, and then when it's finished cooking, you can eat straight out of the bag. So you don't have to worry about cleaning up any pots or any pans because you're not using any pots. And then when you're finished eating, you seal the bag back up again. You've got all of your mess nice and contained inside the bag. You don't have to worry about it. You can just throw it out when you get back home. And it doesn't take up much space in your pack because it's a nice thin little bag even after you've finished eating. Another advantage is that they are pretty efficient in terms of how many calories they can provide for how much weight you're carrying. So one of these regular packs typically will offer you somewhere between 550 and 650 calories total inside the whole pack, depending on which specific flavor you've got. Obviously it varies a little bit. So I did some calculations using this one, which is the freeze-dried biscuits and gravy, just as a quick example. And this offers an efficiency of about 125 calories per ounce carried, because these packs tend to be around a little under 5 ounces for the regular pouches. So it's an efficiency of 125 calories per ounce, and that's really pretty good. For comparison, like a chocolate brownie Cliff Bar is around 100 calories per ounce you're carrying, so they're not quite as efficient. And a lot of, sort of regular food, like just like a piece of fruit, like a banana, is about 20 calories per ounce carried. Far, far, far less efficient than something like this. So these will allow you to carry a lot less weight and still have, the idea anyway, is to still have a pretty nice, real sort of meal at the end of your day when you're out on the trail. Now, that does mean that you do need to carry a cook stove, because you've got to put boiling water into these things. So that is going to add weight to your pack if that's not something you would normally bring. But if you're bringing a stove anyway, which you might be if you're mountain climbing because you need it for water, or if you're just the kind of person who likes to cook on the trail anyway, you need coffee the next morning, you need to have a cook stove, you're already bringing that in your pack, so that weight is already there. These are a great way to bring along what tastes often like a pretty real dinner without having to add all the weight of all of those ingredients. But when it comes down to these things, the real question is, how good do they actually taste? So we're going to do a little bit of taste testing, but I did test one of these, the lasagna with meat sauce flavor, when I was actually out on Mount Rainier. And the altitude was really messing with us that day. And you can definitely see that in the video that I shot of myself eating it, so I'll show a little clip of that. But the bottom line is that although my brain clearly wasn't functioning while I was eating this, the lasagna, I was actually really impressed with how good the lasagna with meat sauce tasted, especially because I didn't pay too much attention to precisely how much water to put into it. We just kind of eyeballed it. And so I ended up with a lasagna, that was a little soupy feeling, but it really tasted surprisingly good. Was it as good as mom's lasagna at home? No, absolutely not. But for a meal that you just made by pouring some water into a bag on the side of a mountain, it got really surprisingly close to, this is actually pretty good lasagna. So the lasagna with meat sauce, I'm going to give a strong, absolutely yes, I recommend it rating to that one. And so what we're going to do now is just try some other ones. So let me talk about how these work. And I've got, in fact, I've got this little sample one, so we'll try this one for biscuits and gravy, and then I've also got the apple crisp. Figured I'd try a dessert as well as the couple dinners that I've tried. So the way that these work, and each one varies a little bit in terms of the amounts of water that you need to put in or other things that you might have to do, but typically it works by you take the top off of the pack, and there's a nice little tab there, as you can see, so you can open it really very easily. It's not difficult to do. You don't need scissors or anything like that. And then inside the pack, there is a little, this thing, I'm not sure precisely what it's for. You want to take it out before you pour the water in. If you forget to do it, it's fine. Just don't eat it. But you probably aren't going to eat many plastic bags, so that's fine. Then you're going to pour the water into this bag. You're going to reseal the bag, and there is a little Ziploc line there that you can try to seal up. You're going to reseal the bag, and then you're going to wait the amount of time that it says on the back of the bag. So in this case, it's 5 to 6 minutes for this one. And then you're ready to eat. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Since I'm not actually camping, I'm here at home. I'm just going to go get a kettle of water boiling, and then we'll do some cooking here. All right, so we're back with our water, and Mountain House does give you some very specific amounts to put in, but I'm just going to eyeball it here a little bit because often, if you're actually out on a mountain, you're not necessarily going to have all your measuring cups with you. So I think it's important to just kind of try to eyeball it and see how that goes. So we'll get some water going in there, some nice boiled water, or some very recently boiling water. There we go. And let's just seal that one up. There we go, that should be sealed up. So that one's got to sit for 8 or 9 minutes. There's biscuits and gravy. And let's make this one. 1 cup, and let it stand for 5 or 6 minutes. Let's pump this one in there. We'll let that stand for 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, so now, thanks to the magic of video editing, let's fast forward to when they are done. Okay, and we're back. So it's been about 6 minutes, according to my little timer thing here. So we're going to see the apple crisp should be done in 5 to 6 minutes, so we've let it stand for 6 minutes. And we're going to sprinkle some granola from our granola pack over this and see if it's any good. I gotta tell you, it does not look an awful lot like apple crisp, but we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt here. Yeah, so this is actually really not bad. The apples are a little bit chewy, which is a bit odd because if anything, I put in too much water and I let it stand for, it says 5 to 6 minutes on the back of the pack. That was more than 6 full minutes before I opened it. So I'm a little surprised. It sort of tastes a little bit undercooked, but really it's not bad. And especially at the end of a long day of hiking or whatever you're doing outdoors, this is going to taste pretty damn good, I think. So I think this would be not a bad thing to have if you're looking for dessert at the end of your camping trip. And I'm actually going to, even though it's a little chewy, I'm going to keep eating it a little bit. All right, there we go. 9 minutes, so our biscuits and gravy should be ready. Let's see how this is. And this is one of their sort of dinner meals. I'm going to just stir it up a little bit. Wow. Now this is perfectly cooked, really honestly surprisingly good. I was not expecting, especially because they look, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see that, but these things really don't look all that palatable, but your taste is really not bad. Not being from the South, I'm probably not qualified to talk about how close it gets to real, sort of genuine biscuits and gravy, but yeah, this is really good. Overall, I would say that the apple crisp, I don't know, I might not get that flavor again if I was going to purchase more of this, and I probably will for my next trip. The lasagna, absolutely, I would say go for it. You're not going to regret it. Biscuits and gravy here. Also, I'm pretty impressed with that, so I would say go for that as well. So yeah, they can be a little bit hit or miss, I think, but if you find flavors that you like, I think they're definitely worth it. They're really lightweight, and they do keep things clean, and so you don't have a lot of cleanup. One thing to note, though, is that the resealable Ziploc sort of zippers at the top of the bags are okay. They're not great. They are fine for cooking the stuff that's in the bag. I don't know, this is going to be messy when I finish with it on the inside of the bag. I don't think I would trust just this little sort of El Cheapo's built-in Ziploc to keep everything else in my pack safe and keep some of this from coming out. So I would still say you might want to bring a plastic bag to put these bags inside once you've finished eating, once you've zipped them up, just as another layer of protection for your stuff, right? Because you don't want this, like this gravy, whatever it is, all over the rest of the stuff that's inside your pack. So overall, yeah, really lightweight, surprisingly good for what it is. I mean, again, this is not like, I'm not saying this is going to taste just like what mom cooks at home, but for something that you cooked in a bag by just pouring water into it on the side of a mountain, it's really, really surprisingly good. It gets closer to the real thing than most people would expect. And it's not that expensive either. These are usually around somewhere between $6 and $8, depending on where you get them. You can buy them in bulk and get them a little cheaper sometimes. So if you're looking for a way to have something that tastes a little bit more like a real meal at the end of your hike, but you don't want to carry all the heavy stuff that you would need to actually have a real meal, definitely consider these Mountain House, these freeze-dried meals. I'm really genuinely have been pretty surprised by how good these are. And I think for my next overnight trip, I'm probably going to bring one along. So yeah, check them out.